Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another review. This review is for Baddies USA Chapter 2, Episode 8, so let's just get right into it. So this episode picks up where the last one left off, where Summer and Rolly are going back and forth with each other, arguing, and Lex ends up coming out of nowhere and running up on Tommie and popping her in the back of the head, and I was like, damn, she snuck her real quick. I don't agree with sneaking, but I feel like the reason why she snuck Tommie is because it's hard to get to Tommie if you don't sneak her. She's one of those people that'll hide behind security, or she'll just leave and you'll never be able to get to her. But I feel like Lex is still holding on to the fact that Tommie threw glass in her face last season. She's obviously not over it, and that's why whenever she gets the chance to put her hands on Tommie, she does. But Tommie was not fazed by this at all. She was laughing, trying to put her wig back on. I'm like, Tommie must be drunk or something. But why the hell did Tinka try to run up on Tommie and sneak her? I'm like, is she still mad about what happened like 3 seasons ago when Tommie pulled out that BB and she was one of the people that got hit? Because that's something that she should have handled a long time ago, not now. But then Mariah Lynn ends up sneaking Amber, and she says that that's because Amber snuck Tesehki, and I know she's trying to have Tesehki's back because they're friends with each other, but I don't think it was necessary for her to sneak Amber. Now, I know that, Mariah was claiming that she didn't sneak Amber because Amber was looking right at her, but if you caught her off guard and she did not know that there was an issue between you two, you did kind of sneak her. Then I did not like the fact that when Amber was trying to have a fair fight with Mariah Lynn, security was in the way and was not allowing it to happen. I just feel like if somebody got snuck or caught off guard, I definitely feel like you should let them run that at least one time. But then Ciroc ends up apologizing to Biggie for attacking her last season, and Biggie does forgive her, but said that she's going to keep her distance from her. And I think that, Biggie handled this in a really good way. However, I'm not going to be cool with somebody at all who snuck me the way that they did, because Ciroc had no reason to put her hands on Biggie like that. She was doing Tommie's dirty work, and for that, I wouldn't be able to be cool with her either. So I like the fact that Biggie said, I forgive you, but I'm not going to forget, and I'm keeping my distance. Now, while some of the baddies are still inside the building rehearsing for their upcoming performances, Tesehki and her friends are outside trying to fight Summer, Tommie, and their friends, and Tesehki wants it to be a 4 against 4, but Summer said that's not happening because Tesehki's friends are in a different weight class, but I just feel like weight class doesn't really matter in this situation. But Tommie starts addressing Lex because Lex is outside too, and Tommie is crazy. Tommie starts saying that she understands why Lex is acting the way that she's acting because Summer has fire head, and Lex didn't want anything to do with that. She said that's between them and she wants to be left out of it. Tommie claims in her confessional that Summer never went down on her, and I don't know if I could believe her 100% because why would she say that if Summer didn't go down on her? But Tommie can be a troll sometimes, but she was probably just saying that because she wanted to try to get at Lex even though it didn't really work. So I don't really know what to believe. But Treve ends up fighting one of Tesehki's friends, and she snatches up Tesehki's friend by her hair and she drags her to the floor, and then she has her in this like WWE submission move on the floor, has the girl eating dirt. Now, I can't really say this was a fight because nobody swung on each other, okay? They were not swinging on each other. It was literally they locked up, and then all of a sudden Treve grabbed her by the hair, dropped her on the floor, and then she had her in this submission move. But I will say I'm going to give the win to Treve. Even though there was no swinging going on, she still overpowered Tesehki's friend, and I was a little bit embarrassed because it's like, damn, you're supposed to be Tesehki's friend and you can't fight. And Tesehki kept her cool, but I bet you she was a little bit embarrassed by her friend losing like that. I definitely feel like Tesehki was kind of feeling like Tommie felt last season when Ciroc came in and she got beat up by Lex and she was pissed off about it. I feel like Tesehki felt like that, but she just didn't show it. I am annoyed the way that security was blocking Tesehki from fighting though, because if everybody's claiming that she's boring every season because she doesn't do anything, let her go and let her fight. Now, Tesehki's friend and Treve end up fighting again, and this time this wasn't really a fight either because nobody was swinging. Tesehki's friend ran up, they grabbed onto each other, and they both kind of like banged into the wall, and security got in the way and broke it up. So to me, this was not a fight. And Summer was doing all of that running of the mouth, and Tesehki was going back and forth with her, but Summer kept telling security to keep Tesehki away from her, and it's like, if you want Tesehki not to touch you, then stop talking to her. Summer just talks a little bit too much for me. Yes, she can be very entertaining sometimes, but she doesn't shut up because even her friends were wanting her to shut up. I mean, Tommie and the girl Treve were telling her to shut up. But after all the fights are broken up and Tommie's friends end up leaving, that's when it's time for them to leave rehearsals. And Biggie is trying to clean up a little bit because she doesn't want the rehearsal room to be a mess. And she sees K. Rican's wig laying on the stage. So she picks it up and she goes outside with it to give it back to K. Rican. And Tinka comes up to her and tries to snatch the wig out of her hand. And Biggie is not trying to let her get the wig because she doesn't understand why Tinka's trying to snatch it from her. And Tinka's feeling like Biggie is trying to defend K. Rican, but it's like she's not trying to defend K. K-Rican. She just knows that she's the one who picked up the wig. She's not about to pick up somebody's wig and then give it to somebody who that girl's beefing with so that she can destroy it. Because then if Biggie gives Tinka K-Rican's wig and then Tinka destroys K-Rican's wig, K-Rican's gonna feel some type of way about Biggie, and we know that Biggie's scary and she doesn't fight. And this back and forth about K-Rican's wig turned into them arguing about what happened in Korea, and it's like none of us were in Korea. The only thing that we know for sure happened in Korea was that Biggie and Lex ended up getting into it over a blunt, and then Biggie recorded a conversation that was private between Natalie and Big Lex, which made Lex fight Biggie at the reunion. That's all we know, so we don't need to hear anything else about Korea. But I guess Summer was walking outside to go inside so that she can do her performance, and I guess one of Tesehki's friends ran up on Summer and whooped her real quick, so Summer was pissed off. Her wig was off. She looked messed up, so she definitely could not get on stage to perform. And look, I'm not a fan of this outsiders thing. I really just don't like it. I think it makes a mess of the show, and we're watching outsiders fight who we don't know and who we don't really care about, so I don't really like the whole outsiders thing. But I do feel like because Summer was talking shit and she was with Tommie, who brought the other outsiders, that makes her a target to the outsiders that Tesehki brings. But I don't agree with either one of them bringing any type of outsiders on the show. But I saw people saying that all the baddies claim that they're against outsiders, but they haven't been against Tesehki's friends. But that's because Tesehki's outsiders have not came there to fight the baddies. They came there to fight Tommie's outsiders. And I know that Summer is a baddie and she ended up getting touched by one of Tesehki's friends, but I just feel like nobody was outside when that happened either. Like none of the baddies were outside when Summer got attacked. And Summer's also one of the people who have brought outsiders herself. She brought them last season for Dolly, so I just feel like, you know, it doesn't really apply to Summer. But not Tommie performing on stage with a glass of liquor in her hand. I'm like, Tommie is a mess. After the concert was over, Biggie and Natalie talked to each other. They kind of apologized. They have this love-hate relationship. That's why I don't understand why people get so riled up about it, because at the end of the day, we don't know the ins and outs of these people's relationships, and they always end up making up anyway. So there's no point to getting your feelings about it. Even the whole Scotty and Natalie situation, Jayla and Natalie situation, Rolly and Natalie situation, I just don't even get in my feelings about those things because they're gonna make up and talk again anyway. But Tommie gets in her confessional and she says that after the cameras cut, she went out for drinks with Treve and Summer, and Treve got really drunk and was saying that she was staying in Tommie's room for the night, and Summer shows up while Tommie and Treve are going back and forth with each other, and Summer hits Treve, so things get crazy between them. I guess glass was broken at the hotel, there was blood on it and everything like that, and so the cops end up showing up to Tommie and Summer's hotel room, and Tommie is live streaming this whole situation so we get to see it play out, and Summer is trying to tell the cops everything that happened, and Tommie shuts that shit down immediately. She kind of tells a little simple story, and then she kind of kicks the cops out of her room, which I thought was kind of funny. And then she starts kind of going off on Summer a little bit for being stupid because Summer was trying to tell the cops everything that happened. I'm sorry, I know that some people say that they like Summer with Tommie, but I don't think Tommie really likes Summer. I don't think that this friendship between the two of them is gonna last. I don't even really think it's a real friendship. I'm sorry, I just don't see this working. But the next day, Natalie, Rolly, and Diamond are talking and having some drinks, and Natalie says that she's against the outsiders and that she never said that she was okay with it, which makes me believe that Lemmy is the one that's saying it's okay for people to bring the outsiders. I think that it's Lemmy who's approving that because she's saying she didn't. And I really think that after this season, they need to not allow any more outsiders. I think that's dangerous. I'm sorry. But Diamond immediately ends up bringing up the Baddies Gone Wild girls and basically saying that Bahati is annoying, and all of them basically agree that Bahati is annoying, and I think she is too. This season, I've seen a different side of Bahati that I don't really like. I mean, I don't think she's a bad person, but I'm not really feeling her this season. Maybe she was so likable on the first season of Baddies Gone Wild because everybody was against her and there wasn't really no likable girls on that season, but I do like Bahati. I just wish that she would kind of get it together this season. Diamond does end up bringing up Natalie and Biggie's issues, and Natalie does say that she respects Biggie as a performer and that Biggie is one of the best performers that they have on the show, but she feels like Biggie only uses baddies as a platform to uplift her music, and that's not a bad thing because all the girls are really doing that, but she feels like Biggie doesn't really participate in the show the way that she's supposed to. And I actually agree a little bit. I feel like if Biggie wants to focus on her music and she's not a baddie, she's an artist, then she needs to go be an artist and she doesn't need to be on the show anymore. She can give that spot to somebody else who wants to be on this show. I just feel like Biggie doesn't really want to be on the show. She just wants to do her music, and I feel like she can do that, just not on baddies, because you don't have to be a fighter to be a baddie, but at the end of the day, when you sign up to be on Baddies, you know exactly what you signed up for. You know that there's a big chance that you're going to end up getting into fights, and that's just a part of the show. So if you're somebody who's scary and you don't want to fight, then you should not be on this show. Not a show called Baddies when you know that it's been fighting for the past few seasons. Tavii and Pressure end up having a sit down at the end of this episode, and they're going back and forth with each other because Tavii wants an apology from Pressure because she said that Pressure talked about her son. Pressure is saying that she did not talk about Tavii's son. So when Tavii ends up asking her for an apology, Pressure says that she's not apologizing because there's nothing for her to apologize for. Now, I don't know Pressure outside of her being on Baddies, so I don't know the things that she's said and done, but she's saying that she did not talk about Tavii's son. And a lot of the time on this show, when people say that somebody talked about their kids, usually it's the person talking about them as a parent and not talking about their kids. So that could have been the situation. She could have been talking about Tavii as a parent. I don't know. Let me know down in the comment section if you know what Pressure said about Tavii as a mom, but I know that Tavii was feeling some type of way about it, so she stood up and she started, trying to get close to Pressure. And Pressure is funny to me. I'm sorry, she's not my favorite, but she is funny to me because she's a troll. She likes to get into people's head and mess with them a little bit, and that's exactly what she was doing to Tavii. But Tavii was not feeling it, so she stood up and the two of them started fighting. The first round, it didn't really look like either one of them really did anything, and Tavii's wig got snatched off and Pressure's wig was in place. But the second round that they fought, Tavii was definitely knocking Pressure all up in the side of her damn head, so I'll give that win to Tavii. But those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies USA Chapter 2. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.